Georgia has one more five-star that they're chasing in the 2024 cycle, and he was on campus in Athens this weekend for an official visit. I got Rusty Mansell of Dogs HQ on the show today. We're going to break it down. What are Georgia's chances at flipping Terry Bussey? Also, I want to talk to him about a little 2025 QB recruiting. But first, Dog fans, appreciate you guys always tuning in. If you watched any of our videos in the past, do me a favor right now. Hit subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We're here for you. Hit subscribe for me. All right, let's bring on Rusty Mansell, Dogs HQ. Rusty, this weekend was the official visit weekend for Terry Bussey. Heading into this weekend, who were the teams with the chance to flip him from Texas A&M?
I think LSU and Georgia are the two main ones you hear the most about. And, he was at Georgia this past weekend for his official visit. Glenn Schumann, T-Rob, Tavares Robinson, and Dante Williams, the new defensive back coach from USC, were at his house last Monday night. So he follows that return trip for an official visit this weekend, left campus around 2 p.m. on Sunday. And I think Georgia, look, I've kind of been upfront with this with Georgia fans. I think they're on the outside looking in, but this weekend certainly didn't hurt any chance they have.
Yeah. And how long has the relationship been with Georgia? Because I know T-Rob comes in from Alabama, but was Georgia in contact with him even before T-Rob made it to campus?
Not as much. The key here is Dante Williams coming from USC. Dante Williams was recruiting him at USC, so he came over and he goes to the Under Armour game and does interviews the first day, and all of a sudden he kind of makes news. He's going to take an OV to Georgia. Nobody really heard his name much in this, but that relationship with Dante Williams carried over into this. Tavares Robinson, T-Rob obviously knew him some for Alabama, but when you look at that connection there, that's certainly what cracked the door for Georgia to get in. And Glenn Schumann has kind of been heavily involved with this since they started recruiting him, I would say at a higher pace the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, and we know Terry Bussey committed to Texas A&M, but, I mean, look at the coaching changes. New staff at A&M, new DB coaches at LSU, new DB coaches at Georgia. So how much do relationships matter in this recruitment, and who's got the longest standing relationships here?
I don't know who has the longest standing, but I do know that Dante Williams has known this young man for a while, and that certainly helps Georgia. You got new defensive back staff at LSU. Corey Raymond coming back over from Florida, and you got new staff at Texas A&M. So he's going to take his time. He will be at Texas A&M this weekend. They wanted that last visit. They're going to get it. Kind of the big thing I'm watching this week, Josh, is when does Kirby Smart use his in-home visit?
Right.
Is he going to try to go Thursday night before he leaves Friday morning to go to Texas A&M? He's going to try to get that last in-person conversation with him. He plays basketball too, so his schedule's the plate's kind of full this week. So the next step for Georgia to watch there is when does Kirby Smart go out to Texas and use his one in-home visit?
We'll see if he can close there. Now, when we talk about Terry Bussey, or when you were talking about Terry Bussey, I should say, I read a lot of your insider reports on Dogs HQ heading into the weekend, and you kind of described Georgia is on the outside looking in heading into the weekend. Yep. How do you feel about Georgia now that weekend's over and he's now made his official visit?
I feel better chance last week. I'm not ready to say this kid's flipping to Georgia. I'm not ready to predict him to Georgia, but I do think that Georgia really had a good visit with him. He asked a lot of really good questions. I heard he went into detail about scheme. He also asked about playing both ways some. So he asked some players, hey, how things here? Saturday night, they have the big dinner with him. And I was told that multiple Georgia DBs went to that dinner with Terry Bussey and the people with him to try to let him know, hey, you're wanted here. And this is kind of a tight-knit group. So you look at that, and little things like that kind of tell you he's not there just to have a good time. He was there to check out Georgia, what it was like behind the scenes. And look, he asked the right questions, so we'll see. We'll see how much Georgia, what kind of chance they have coming out of this. But, again, not ready to predict him to Georgia, but I do think this weekend helped any chance they had.
Yeah, this is a big week with that Kirby Smart in-home visit. Let's shift gears a little bit, talk some QB recruiting for the 2025 class. Now, 2024, it was a little dramatic. Dylan Raiola flipped at the end. Ryan Puglisi stuck. Georgia fans know it was a wild QB recruiting cycle. But for 2025, Rusty, has Georgia where are they in the QB recruiting process? Because I see they don't have any commitments yet.
Very early stages. You also don't forget they had a UNLV transfer a quarterback for about 24 hours, and he decommitted and went back to USC. So it was kind of a wild segment there the last month. Don't forget that little note. But obviously all eyes probably start with Julian Juju Lewis now that he is reclassified, the quarterback out of Carrollton High School. And this is not it's not all Juju or nothing. I think people, I talked to some Georgia fans, they're like, it's Juju or bust. It's not Juju or bust. He is a very high level target for this Georgia staff. He's going to be on campus this weekend, but they're certainly recruiting a lot of people. And one name I'll give you is Matt Zellers, young man out of Philadelphia, the Pennsylvania area. He was on campus this weekend. Mike Bobo, I believe, went to Philadelphia last week, saw him in person, offered him, and he was on campus this weekend. I think he was at Florida Friday and Georgia on Saturday. But this is a young man, when you watch his tape, 6'3.5", this guy can go, man. He's got a big arm. He can move. He is very, very athletic. I talked to Charles Power last week. I said, hey, this tape jumps at me. And Charles, when Charles don't talk, but he lit up. I couldn't get Charles to quit talking for like 2 minutes. So I can tell you he loved his tape. He was very impressed with him. That's a name to know. One other name many people in the state of Georgia are familiar with is Antoine Hill, A.J. Hill, out of Houston County High School, the 2025. I feel like I've been covering him for 10 years. Kirby Smart lands the Kirby copter last week at his high school. He takes a picture. Kirby Smart was, they're recruiting him. How high on the board? I don't know where he is for them, but he's a person they've long recruited. Kirby Smart, I think, offered him as a 9th or 8th grader. So he's known him for a long time. So there's certainly some names out there that Georgia's still trying to set that board in 2025.
Yeah, Antoine Hill, he was a one-time Colorado commitment, I should say. He committed to the Buffaloes for about 2 or 3 weeks, back on the market. Seems like Florida is also heavily involved. One more name I want to throw at you, Rusty, and that is Ryan Montgomery out of Findlay, Ohio. For much of this recruitment, it's been South Carolina, Florida, kind of the most mentioned teams in his recruitment. But Georgia showing interest now, huh?
Yeah, he stopped by. He had a recent trip to Florida and South Carolina, I believe, last weekend, about 8 days ago. And he stopped by Athens, spent some time there. I think spent the night and met with the Georgia staff. So that's a name certainly on the board for Georgia. But I hear more about Florida and South Carolina around him right now. And again, Georgia's just setting their board. I don't think they really thought they were going to have a whole lot of options in 2025 because they were going to take 2 in 24. And next thing you know, you only take 1. You have one of your top level targets in 2026 reclassify. So they're certainly probably resetting everything right now. In 2025 class, that quarterback position for Georgia is going to be very important.
Yeah, and I think we're on pace for what Georgia would like to do. I mean, they had Ryan Puglisi committed mid-spring last year, and Dylan Raiola committed just a few days before summer began, right before June recruiting started. So they're kind of on pace for what they want to do. And how much of the spring eval period, when that opens up in the beginning of May, how much will that play into QB recruiting?
Well, that will be huge. And Mike Bobo and Kirby Smart both are very high on throwing in front of them. And you look at Ryan Puglisi, he threw in front of the Georgia staff. I think he threw in front of Todd Monken a year and a half ago in June. Yeah. They offered on the spot. Dylan Raiola threw as a freshman. They offered shortly after that. So, it's very rare that Georgia will not take someone unless they see them throw. They'd like to see them throw in person. The way the things are now is so sped up. So that spring evaluation, when you're able to go out and see somebody have spring practice or a spring workout and have those kids throw, that's going to be very important. Obviously, they have a large sample size of Juju Lewis. They have seen 2 years of tape of him. They've had him in camp multiple times. So, those questions for him, they've already been answered.
Yeah. Hey, Georgia fans, let me know. Who's your top QB recruit on the board right now? Is it Julian Lewis? Is it Ryan Montgomery, Matt Zellers, Antoine Hill Jr., somebody else? Georgia fans, tap in. Let me know. Comment section below. Rusty, another busy week at Dogs HQ. You got that Terry Bussey in-home visit this week. QB recruiting. The staff is on the road. You wrote about that this morning.
Yep, big junior day next weekend. They're going to close it out.
Coming up.
They got a big one.
And we're just over a week from 2024 signing day, officially ending that 2024 cycle, so we can turn the page to 2025.
Oh man, seems like forever, huh?
Yep. All right, Rusty. Thank you. Appreciate your time, man.
Hey, thanks, Josh.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed that content, be sure to subscribe to the On3 Recruits channel. We have a new page dedicated only to recruiting. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button right now.